I'll say one thing, the theme of this religious movie was very, very different. Chase Lee Hockey here with the Blue Futon reviewing The God Man. So it's about pretty simple premise. This is a director that has directed 6 movies total. This is his final one, if you want to put it that way. And this is him following his dreams, following where the message of God and Jesus takes him. And it was Hope, Alaska, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Then we have a place in Africa, which I do not remember, maybe Zimbabwe, as well as a place in Honduras Bay. And this talks about what people go through. Do they care about possessions, or do they just want Jesus' love in general? So I like this film. With the theme of this one, yes, you can say it's a little bit preachy on some levels, where some of the editing and some of the choices of who we're interviewing kind of like you go, don't care about that. But when it does focus on the real people and what is occurring, that's where this movie really shines. And with one major theme, and that's the main positive of this theme. It talks about how churches can be places that hold the buttholes of the religion. And what do I mean by that? That means people who could actually walk through those doors, donate money, and say, I'm a good person while you're in those walls. A narcissism basically means when you step out of that church saying, I am a good person and you must follow me. What the biggest problem I have with churches, like I'm Roman Catholic, is you have these people saying, give to the poor. People are less grateful than you, XYZ. Okay, you could preach that, but open those doors and actually do what you're doing. That's why Mother Teresa was such a massive inspiration to the world, because she would go to the poorest of the poor, the HIV-ridden New York, India, everywhere she would go, she'd be like, where's the poorest place? Let's go there. Brazil, she also went to Brazil. So there is those, similarities. Now, I'm not saying this movie is comparing to Mother Teresa, not at all, but just needing to go to the places or people that need help. We are sick and tired of seeing these $1 million churches where it's like, you guys could afford your Gucci, afford your Louis Vuittons. Come in this church because I know if you have that Gucci, you could donate to this church. That movie that came out last year, Honk, Save Jesus, Honk, Save for Jesus, was a really good themed movie as well. So I'm not expecting to like that one, but that was really good. This has that same message of the church can actually harm people with making you feel embarrassed, making you feel not welcomed, like, oh, you think you're good enough to be here? Psh, whatever. Why is it that... So, yeah, they had a good line in there about the whole apostles and disciples of Jesus. Like, why are the ones that really screw up the ones most noticeable and talked about? Because those are the ones where you're like, they're kind of the narcissism, like, oh, I was good, I was good, I was good. But sometimes being good is just doing stuff without letting people know. So that's why I think I also hate writing award packages and things like that about oneself, because if you're doing a good job, if you're doing it to the community, you don't need to praise yourself. You don't need to put yourself on a pedestal. And this kind of talks about that. And when we do talk to the people in Honduras, Africa, Brazil, Alaska, I do think that's where it shines. I think the weakest, if I had to choose a spot, is the Alaskan one. That one kind of stretched a little bit too much. Like, you could have cut like 5 minutes from that one. I'm more focused on Brazil, Africa, and Honduras. The person's been in Africa, been in different parts of the world. I was like, yeah, I remember that. I truly remember that. And you just wonder, like, this person can't afford 17 cents worth of bread. And a bread's a loaf of bread. And I remember buying a lot of bread. It was just me. It was a bunch of other people, SF, and other people. But we got in trouble because we were buying too much bread. And it looked bad because we were making this bakery sell out and give it to people that can't afford it. We thought we were doing good, but it actually had a bad look with a lot of the people. So yeah, bazaars, we also helped there. But just knowing that, you're just like, yeah. And we did build desks for churches, and that was a one spot in Agadez, Niger, where it's really good because it's actually, I witnessed it in Africa, where this was a town where actually the Muslims and Christians actually got along. and they were kind of working side by side. In other parts of Africa, it ain't like that. There are Muslims that are killing Catholics, chopping heads off, burning down their schools, burning down their churches. And so people are acting like, oh, well, they just don't know what's in their New York, their LA apartment. They're stuck in their world, and they think what they have is horrendous. The people in Portland, I mean, and everywhere you go, they're like, we're horrible. It's like, well, you need to look on the other side of the pond and see what really horrible looks like. Like I said, some negatives is it does drag on for some scenes. There are some interviews in between, which I'm like, okay, I kind of understand what you're going for, but I'm really am more focused on these people in these impoverished states and what we can do as a whole to help them. And so that's why I kind of like that message of this movie of, you could do what you can behind those church walls, but it's really what you do outside of those walls that really makes you a good person. So overall, God, man, I thought it was a pretty good documentary. Like I said, I love the message, love the scenarios they were showing on screen. If I would make it a little bit shorter and just cut out the interviewees between each segment, I thought it would be a fresher, better film. But if you're into religious films and you're kind of, I think this one can be for you. So the God Man will receive a 4 out of 5 of Futons, which equals at 80%. So let's see the Critics News Scores gave this one. So we have one review, nothing else in the review gave it a negative. It's preaching to the choir quite literally. Of course, NPR Los Angeles. Not, I didn't even know that, but NPR, it's not preaching to the choir because these people are not in the choir. That's the whole point of this movie, is that these people were showing vulnerabilities. We're not preaching to the choir would be showing this movie and saying everything inside the church is amazing, 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 amazing stuff. But this isn't doing that. This is showing people going out to people that actually need help. So this is the complete freaking opposite of preaching to the choir. If it was NPR and Los Angeles, God, what are we going to do? Anyway, chase up with the Blue Futon, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if there's Booftopia. You Booftons, take watch. Have a freaking fantastic day. I don't care if you're watching this today, tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. I love every single one of you. And I think NPR Los Angeles, congratulations. You just made the thumbnail.